There are a lot of things that I did wrong as a junior recruiter because you don't have a school of recruiters or a school that teaches you how to do all of these things. So yeah, most of the times you have to learn them from experience and from others' experience if you have more senior recruiters in the company. That's why in today's video, I wanted to speak about 6 mistakes that I did as a junior recruiter. Why were they mistakes and how I fixed them, and I'm not doing them at the moment. Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Cornelia. Welcome to my channel. I usually post videos about recruitment topics and also teach candidates how to write their CVs, what to say, not say in job interviews, and so on. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about 6 mistakes that I've done as a junior recruiter, so you don't have to do them if you are a junior recruiter. And first of all, and the most important thing, is that I spoke so much in interviews that I didn't let the candidate speak and tell me things about themselves. An interview is an evaluation kind of situation where I, as a recruiter or interviewer, have to assess the candidate. So if I'm going to speak a lot in an interview, I won't have the time, or I won't give the right time to the candidate to talk about their experience and offer more details about it, so I can have all of the information that I need to assess if the candidate will be a good fit or not. And this is something that I've done because I was very nervous. As I mentioned, no one taught me how to do interviews, how to ask questions, what are the type of questions that I need to do. It was more of a process of learning from my own experience, the experience of the senior recruiters that I had in a company, and also from different tutorials online and websites where they are telling you what questions to ask if you want to assess a specific dimension of the candidate, etc. So yeah, I was very nervous in interviews and I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to do. And because of that, I was talking a lot. And yeah, I already did 2 tutorials about how you can prepare for an interview and how to react or how to conduct an interview as an interviewer. So yeah, you can watch them if you want to. But this is something that I see that a lot of people are doing it. They speak a lot, they don't listen, and this is actually not in the benefit of the interview or in the benefit of the candidate, because you don't have the right information to assess the candidate because you didn't give them the time and the chance to tell you more about them. Another mistake that I did was to focus a lot on the quantity of candidates that I assessed and not on the quality. And here I wanted to speak about 2 things. First of all, it will be about the people that I've messaged on LinkedIn. When I was working in an agency, because it was also volume type of recruiting, I had to message a lot of candidates and I didn't have the time to actually look in depth on their CVs and see if they will be a good fit for the position that I was recruiting at the moment. And I was selecting a lot of candidates, sending a lot of bulk messages. And because of that, the rate of responding wasn't that great, because yeah, you can see if you are a candidate that actually reads the message, that the message wasn't personalized, or maybe the message was too general. So yeah, it could apply to multiple candidates. So this is something that affects a lot the rate of responses. And now what I do is to find fewer people in a specific day. Before, when I started doing recruitment, I saved 40 to 60 people in a project and messaged them in a single day. Now I'm doing it, I would say, around 10 to 15 people, but I make sure, based on the LinkedIn profile that they have, that they will be a really good fit for the team. And also the message that I send them are, let's say, personalized, because this will also help the candidate feel seen and feel like I really think that they will be a good fit. A lot of them are actually responding to the messages that I send. They're sending me their CVs and we have an interview, and yeah, we start the recruitment process. Another problem here with the number of candidates is the number of interviews, because I used to held a lot of interviews in a day, 7 to 8 interviews. I sometimes had 10 interviews in a day, and this made me be very tired and have this process of depersonalizing from the interview and not being actually involved in an interview that I was conducting. And this wasn't in the benefit of the interview or of the candidate, because I didn't have the mental energy to actually assess the candidate and see if they will be a good fit for the role or not. Now I would say that the maximum interviews that I had in a day is about 5, because this is my limit. I cannot have more than 5 good interviews in a specific day. And also I allocate more time for each interview. I would say around 45 minutes per interview, especially if the interview is a more senior role. I allocate 1 hour, just because I want to take the time and check the candidate in a qualitative manner and not check a lot of candidates but in a poorly manner. The third thing that I did wrong was that I did not build a good relationship with the hiring managers or with the people that I was recruiting for in the company. And I had a lot of times where I questioned their decision and I thought that their way of thinking about that specific candidate was wrong. But in fact, they were right. And this is because they know better what they need, and they know better what will be the skills and what will be the things that they would like in that specific candidate, because they will be the one that will work with that specific candidate on a daily basis. If you are a junior recruiter, try to understand what is the way of thinking about a specific position that hiring managers had, and also that technical interviewers have, in case that the technical interviewer is not the same person with the hiring manager, and try to find candidates that will match their desire and the things that they would like from that specific candidate. This is very important to have a good relationship with them, to understand why they are rejecting a specific person and why they prefer another person, and clarify any kind of disagreement that you might have with them. Because at the end of the day, you are hiring for their team. You are hiring a person that will work with them on a daily basis. So their opinion, I would say, is very important for you to understand what will be the right person that you have to select and send to the next interviews in the recruitment process. Ignoring the candidate experience is another thing that I've done before, especially when I was working in the agency and I had a big volume of candidates that I have to speak with. And this is something very bad, because maybe a candidate is not a good fit at that specific moment in time or with that specific role that you have to recruit for, but they might be a good fit with future positions, or maybe they grow in their career, they'll have more experience and they will be a good fit for a more senior position that you might have in the future. And it's very easy to connect with the candidate that you already have a talk with. And if they had a good experience in a previous recruitment process with you or with another person from your company, most likely they will be open to reconsider applying for another role there, even though they were rejected before. And I had this thing a lot. I had a lot of candidates that weren't a good fit for the role that they applied at the specific moment. But after 1 to 3 months, I got back to them. I told them that we have another role and that I believe that they will be a better fit for that. And they were actually open. And I hired a lot of people like that, and these were quick hires, just because just a few months ago I already had the interviews with them. I already knew about all the experience that they had, and they didn't have to go to the whole recruitment process again because they already did some of the stages before. So yeah, the recruitment process will be shorter and you can hire a good professional in a shorter period of time. If you didn't provide a feedback, if you talk with them in a specific way in an interview that made them feel uncomfortable, most likely they won't reject your offer of starting a new recruitment process with you just because they don't want to work with you, because they had a bad experience. And I had this kind of candidates before that told me that they spoke with different recruiters that work for the companies before and that they have a bad experience, and they understanding that maybe they won't have the same experience with me, but they just don't want to start a new recruitment process because they don't want to work in the company based on the bad experience that they had. Another mistake is not checking the numbers. And here I'm referring to the numbers of candidates, number of interviews, and all of these things that can tell you that you are doing some mistakes in the recruitment process that you do. For example, if you had 6-7 interviews in a specific week for a single role and all of the candidates were a bad fit, this should raise you some questions in terms of selecting those candidates that you have the first interviews with. Also, if you are sending 5 candidates to the hiring manager and he rejects all of them, this also should bring you some alarm signs that you are doing something wrong. You need to go back to the boarding table, talk with the hiring manager and see why they reject all of the candidates, and try to learn from this feedback and find better candidates in the future. Checking the numbers is a very important thing, and all of this will help you understand better where are the points where you are failing in your performance as a recruiter, and based on them you can understand what are the things that you can do better in the future. And the last thing that I wanted to speak about it will be the prioritization of the roles that you have to recruit for. In a company, a recruiter usually has to recruit for more positions, not only one. So yeah, they are responsible for 6, 7, 10, 15 roles, depending on the company needs, right? And you need to understand as a junior recruiter, what are the most important roles? You need to prioritize those roles that are more important to the company, the ones that are bringing more revenue to the company, that are more urgent, and also will help you a lot not getting overwhelmed by the number of roles that you have to fill. And the way that you figure it out what are the most important positions is first of all by asking your HR manager or asking more senior recruiters, because they will make you understand why some roles have a higher priority than others. Other persons that you might ask are the stakeholders. You have like a general manager that has an overview on all of the open roles or on all of the team's work. Most likely you can go and ask them what is their vision and what will be the positions that he thinks are more important, because yeah, he has all of this global overview of all of the teams, all of the projects, the clients that they have, and he can actually give you a good insight in what will be the positions that you have to prioritize. If you don't have these persons, so if you don't know who to ask and you don't know how to figure it out, what are the positions that you need to prioritize, I can give you some advices in figuring that thing out. The first thing is that you need to prioritize a position that is opened just because a person is leaving. This is very important, and especially if the person that is leaving has an important role in a team. If they are a manager or a senior person or a lead, prioritize this role because they are very important in the team, and without them the team cannot function properly. Of course, on this side you can actually talk with the team lead and understand if there will be other people that can take over the position while you are trying to find someone, or how big is the team. For example, if the team is really big, you can divide the task of that specific person that is leaving to multiple team members, and they won't feel overwhelmed just because they have to do a small part of that specific person's tasks after the person actually leaves the company until you can find a replacement. But for example, if a person is leaving for a small team, this won't be a good thing, because if you have a team of 2 people, for example, one is leaving, all of the other tasks will fall on the person that stayed in the company, and they will feel overwhelmed, they will feel stressed, they will go into burnout just because they don't have another person that can take the overload of the employee that left. The second thing is that you need to prioritize positions that are for a specific important client that you have. If you have a client that brings a lot of revenue to the company and they need a person, you need to prioritize that specific client in comparison with the clients that bring a smaller revenue to the company. Then you need to prioritize a position based on the dependencies that are on that specific person that will have to fill the role. Another thing that you can take into consideration is the seniority of the person, or the number of tasks or the number of roles that the person is filling in a specific company. Because a more senior person, or a person that is open to do more tasks or have to do more tasks within their specific position, will bring more revenue in the company. Just because they can do multiple stuff, they have more experience, they have more skills in comparison with hiring junior people that don't have that much experience, and at the same time we have to spend a lot more time learning. And when an employee is learning how to do different stuff, they don't produce, so they don't bring revenue to the company. And this is usually with junior people, because more senior employees can adapt faster, they can understand the process faster, so they can be productive faster. So this will be the first things that I had in my mind when I was thinking about my time as a junior recruiter that I did wrong. Let me know in the comments down below if you did any other mistakes when you were junior recruiters. And see you in the next video. Bye!